Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to fundamentally shift the way you look at your financial stress. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by money, or, the lack of it, I need you to hear this right out of the gate. You are not bad with money. What's actually happening here is so much deeper. Today, we're going to break down the exact cycle of survival finance that is just quietly destroying your future. We'll look at the biology behind your money stress, the hidden costs of being broke, and exactly how you can build a firewall to protect yourself.
So does this paradox feel incredibly familiar to you? On the one hand, you are absolutely panicking over a $40 grocery bill. It's immediate, it's visceral, and your anxiety is just through the roof right there at the checkout line. But then, you completely ignore the $800 car payment sitting outside like it's totally normal. It feels completely irrational, right? You might be sitting there thinking you must just be terrible at managing your finances if you're sweating over $40 but totally numb to $800. Well, scratch that. That is a massive misconception. This specific contradiction, it's literally not a money problem at all.
Which brings us to section 1. The $0 anxiety. It's not a money problem, it's biology.
Let's look at what's really happening. $0 anxiety is basically a survival mechanism where hitting a zero account balance floods the brain with stress hormones, treating financial lack as an immediate physical threat. I really want to emphasize this to drop any shame you might be carrying around. When your bank account inches closer and closer to zero, you are literally being hijacked by a deeply ingrained biological response. Your brain isn't just calmly noting, "Oh hey, we're out of digital currency." No, it's reacting exactly as it would if you were suddenly faced with a physical predator in the wild. It floods your entire system with stress hormones. It treats a lack of funds as an immediate life-or-death physical threat. Chemically speaking, that is exactly what happens when you stare at that empty account balance.
Moving on to section 2, stuck in survival mode, the mental toll of being broke.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is research shows your IQ can literally drop. Think about that for a second. When your brain is flooded with those stress hormones we just defined, and you are treating a zero balance as a physical threat, your cognitive function takes a massive hit. Again, you are not lazy, you are not stupid, you are simply trapped in survival mode. Your brain is dedicating absolutely all of its resources to short-term, immediate survival, which temporarily impairs your higher-level thinking. This is exactly why managing money feels practically impossible when you don't have any. Your biological hardwiring is actually dropping your IQ to force you to focus only on surviving the day.
Section 3, the system's hidden costs, paying extra for being broke. Let's see how this plays out in real life. Take a small pack of household essentials, for example. It's affordable today, sure, but mathematically, it is so much more expensive long-term. Then, right next to it, there's the bulk pack. It requires upfront savings, but it's significantly cheaper in the long run. Because you're in that survival mode we just broke down, your dropped IQ and your internal panic force you to buy the small pack simply because you literally cannot afford the bulk one right now. You are mathematically making worse purchasing decisions, paying a literal poor tax, just to survive the week. Broke people end up paying more for everything simply because they lack the upfront cash to make the efficient choice.
Which brings us to this harsh truth. The system charges you extra for being broke, and that's exactly how it's designed. I mean, let that sink in. This isn't an accident. Penalizing a lack of funds acts as a built-in mechanism within our financial system. You get charged extra, whether that's through buying the small pack, paying late fees, or dealing with sky-high interest rates simply for lacking money. It essentially operates as a form of systemic behavioral control, keeping anyone without a buffer continuously paying a premium just to participate in society.
But look at what happens when you flip the script. A person with a financial buffer does not panic. They do not beg, and they do not make desperate decisions. The very second you have savings, you step entirely out of survival mode. When you aren't actively panicking over how you're going to eat this week, you can't be pressured into taking a predatory bad loan. You can't be forced into accepting a terrible job out of pure desperation or paying all those hidden system costs. Someone with savings just cannot be controlled. Having a financial buffer makes you systemically uncontrollable.
Let's move to and see how this builds into section 4, building your financial firewall. Your money is your army.
Here's the big mindset shift. Stop looking at money like paper. Start seeing it as your army. For our whole lives, we've been conditioned to view money merely as a tool for purchasing, just pieces of paper or digital numbers meant to be traded for goods. Well, we have to violently reframe that perspective.
Based on everything we've covered about biological anxiety and systemic control, your money is actually a defensive force. It's an army meant to protect your biology from flooding with those stress hormones and to protect your actual life from systemic exploitation.
$1,000. This is your specific, immediate target goal. And let's be super clear, your first $1,000 is not for flexing. It is absolutely not for buying a new watch or upgrading your phone. This specific amount serves as the critical firewall between you and that $0 anxiety. It's the exact barrier you need to keep your brain out of survival mode and keep your IQ from dropping. You build that first, and literally everything changes.
Which leads to this stark reality. Every useless purchase is another soldier removed from your defense. When you start seeing your cash as an army and that first $1,000 as your critical firewall, frivolous spending takes on a completely different meaning. Buying something you don't actually need isn't just a harmless little treat anymore. It's actively disarming your own defenses. You are literally pulling a soldier off the wall that protects you from biological panic and systemic control. You are actively harming your own safety.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question. Is your army ready to build the firewall? Now that you fully understand the true biological and systemic costs of hitting zero, and now that you know your money isn't just paper, but a vital defensive force, what is your next move? Are you going to keep making useless purchases, or are you going to draft those soldiers to protect your peace of mind? Think deeply about that the next time you review your bank statement. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.